Hi, I'm here with Alisa Vossen, who's CEO of 522 Productions, premier video production house here in Old Town Alexandria and throughout the DMV, I might add. Uh, and it's part of our Pivot and Thrive series. So I wanted to touch base with her and see what's her pivot and what she sees the outlook going forward. So with that, Alisa, tell me your story.
So, thanks, Ron. I'm so excited to do this because you've heard us say a lot, we pivot, and our tagline is make shift happen. And so we do it all the time because we know that shift happens constantly. And one of our biggest pivot that we're seeing right now in our communications as well as our client communications is just how are we communicating with our audience now, given this very, very cluttered communication landscape that we live in? And what does that look like for businesses moving forward, right? Everything that you did heading into 2025, I guarantee you every company is pivoting right now because they're
So
trying to break through. They're just trying to break through whatever they need to do in terms of communication and channels. So I think one of the biggest challenges and pivots that we're seeing right now is just external communication. And part of that communication is navigating trust and authenticity in a very AI driven world that I can guarantee some people did not want to jump on this AI bandwagon. And some did, and they just don't know how to navigate it. So there's going to be a lot of like conflicting strategies happening. And companies are trying to embrace it, but they just don't know how exactly yet. So
what's the counsel you're giving these guys as they kind of get through a period where it's a bit of groping in the dark? What do you tell them?
So right now, a lot of our strategy is going to be the omni-channel complexity and how to understand audiences. Um, Oftentimes strategies we see is that you'll see one message, that social media message may go out on Facebook that's the same as Instagram, then maybe the same as LinkedIn. Maybe one blog is posted and they've got multiple channels, or it's video content. But what they're missing is that each one of our communication channel actually has a different personality. So in order to really embrace the trust aspect, you have to embrace each audience differently, and make it known that these personalized communications take a little bit more time, probably a little bit more effort, but the payoff is going to be a lot stronger for your brand in the end. But it's not going to happen in a month either. So navigating the complexity is setting up clients with a 6 month to a 1 year plan where you can design content in a very kind of evolutionary way, A/B testing different things, and being flexible with the content so that you can be reaching the audience when they're actually ready to learn and educate with your brand.
How do you manage that? Given the economy, there's a real pressures, right? So how do you manage that affordably? How do you manage that in a sort of a time phase approach?
Well, this is where AI can help you. And so it's not going to solve your issues, but it is going to be a part of your smart plan where you're able to embrace pieces of AI that can help you doing the measuring. It can help you do the content creation. God, there's some really great tools out there that
There are.
give it an idea and it will spit out 4 different platforms for you. So you're not wasting time now trying to think of the content, but you're utilizing the tools to help you build a better plan. And so this is where AI also can help us in the measuring pieces of it, as well as to what works and what doesn't. And with that, I think it actually makes it a lot easier and less overwhelming to plan a year-long piece of content, like your communication strategy over time, because it sets up micro wins very well for you. And there's
That's
different tools
critical.
that it's very critical that you can just look at your micro wins like every week and every month and say, look at everything that we were able to accomplish. What did we learn? And then use the tools again to help build the next month, right? And so over the course of that time, you're not struggling with the overwhelming nature of like, what do I do? You're now struggling with how do I learn from all this data and what can I do with the data versus how do I build the content? But my only cautionary point here with content is AI can also generate a ton of misinformation,
Yes.
a lot of deepfake material out there as well. So privacy has to be part of your personalization plan. You cannot build content without taking consideration the cybersecurity effects it could have without understanding it. So there's definitely ways to get around it.
And
That's why
you're
we do.
Yeah, got it. And amidst all of that, right?
Yeah.
What's the silver lining for this region, for your clients, kind of going through all this, kind of the chaos that they're enduring right now?
So we actually had quite a few clients in the last 2 weeks come to us and say, we need social media content now. We need videos. And my biggest question to them is still going to be why? Like, what do you think the video is going to do to impact your brand? And to be honest, if they have a great answer, then I know that that strategy is for them. If they're doing it just to do it because somebody else is telling them to do it, then that's not a great strategy. We need to be able to build the audience respectively to engage it. So the silver lining here is that video is going to be your key resource to really break through and build trust and authenticity with your audience. It's also going to build that validation of your brand more so than just saying on a website, these are my core services. They want to see your core services in action. They want to validate it quickly because there's so much content and education that they're learning through. So like the silver lining is it could be really great for brands. Like it could be really cool and fun to pivot the different marketing strategies. And it could be really cool and fun to embrace new tools and technology that can get you to your goals faster than you ever thought you were going to get there, as long as you embrace it. As long as you say, cool, I'm going to give this a shot. It may not like, there's going to be some roadblocks and there's going to be red flags and there's going to be things that we need to test. But at the end of the day, it could be really fun and it could elevate brands faster than we could last year.
I know you were around for the Great Recession and that whole and the tumult that was around that period. Do you see any sort of kind of a reflections of that time that kind of resonate with you now? We got through that, right? That was a period where so many businesses kind of were lost and individuals, just suffered through just kind of tragic economic challenge. Um, do you see similarities and what worked then? When would it work now?
So the difference between the recession and what from in the past from what we're seeing now is, I think, Ron, you could probably agree, we being in the government space, we see a lot of organizations being hit by the different contracts and levels of the reduction in force and stuff like that. But the what's different is that we don't need masses amount of money to like still build communication and brand. Now, strategy is definitely going to be a piece of the pie where we want to spend time and money building that strategy. But there's ways for us to build tools and products and video content that is very affordable and can stay relevant over the course of the time. And I often tell clients, video is sort of like building a house. You can build a tiny house or you can build a McMansion, right? And the McMansions is a project that we work on where I give you 5 years worth of content, right? And the tiny houses, we just take micro wins. What can we do that's going to be most impactful now based on your budget, right? And then as you grow back or earn or able to sustain it, you're continuing your marketing. Because the one thing that happens when the economy slows down, businesses slow down, they cut the easiest thing
Yeah.
to cut, which is marketing, right? But there's only so many sales calls you can make a day. There's only in order to make those connections.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you can't really build that trust without storytelling. And nothing does it more effectively, more in a more engaging manner than video today. And you're
Yeah,
right.
actually,
It's a
AI
lot
makes
more
it more
affordable, a lot more
affordable.
accessible now.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing. AI makes it affordable, but it doesn't make it accurate. That's the one thing I want to cautious. Like it's still, while you can automate so much content, you still need to stand out like in a genuine, human-centered, like you need that messaging. That's what's going to increase your brand validation.
Alisa, thank you for taking the time. I think it's great to hear that there's hope, right?
There's
And
a
there's hope
hope and it could be so much fun and like we're embracing it, right? There's going to be so much change, but again, our tagline is shift happens because we've been through so much shift. That's what makes communication and video, our expertise, that much more impactful and fun to work through.
yeah, absolutely. In change and challenge, there's always opportunity.